Let's start with the part that most people would disagree with me on, shall we? Last week, Barcelona tweeted out a picture of that Europa League trophy that was missing from the museum. Reasoning being that Barcelona has never won that trophy. And a lot of people came out and were arguing, why would you embarrass yourself and tweet out something about a trophy that you never won in a competition that you shouldn't be in at all? The winning that trophy, winning the Europa League, is an admission that you didn't win the Champions League. And there should be some embarrassment with that. That was definitely a claim that a lot made. That's fair, but I think it misses the point about winning trophies. Back at the start of the Champions League, only one team from any country could be invited, and that's how Real Madrid got such an early start on collecting trophies. But just because the Eva Duarte or the Intercity Fairs Cup no longer exist, they mark a victory for the club when the club was in that competition, regardless of how they got there. La Liga is forever, but the Europa League trophy would be a trophy nonetheless, and the one trophy that Barca can win this season. I'm not saying don't be disappointed about the Champions League. That was embarrassing and frustrating, and a club like FC Barcelona should be contending for the Champions League trophy, not the Europa League trophy. That's true. All I'm saying is don't take trophies for granted at all. Most clubs only see one or two in their entire history, and trophies should not be taken for granted, even if Barcelona have won so many in the last 20 plus years. Alright, with that off my chest, let's get started with this preview for Barcelona against Napoli in the first leg of the Europa League. Starting on the Barca side of things, you could argue that Xavi probably should rotate here. But other than starting Nico, Luke Aubameyang, and or Braithwaite, plus Dembele, guys who've been in the rotation but coming off the bench recently, there aren't that many healthy bodies. Memphis Depay is still out, no Ansu, and probably no Ronald Araujo at the back. No Dani Alves, Ferran Jucla, or Ez Abde in the Europa League, and likely no Clement Lenglet and Samuel Umtiti through injury. And Ricky Puig and Oscar Mingueza haven't played in a while. That doesn't leave a lot of healthy bodies against a good Napoli team. So don't get too bent out of shape when you see a similar 11 that you saw against Espanyol. Eric Garcia in for the injured Ronald Araujo, and Ferran Torres maybe getting a rest with Aubameyang coming on for him, or that could give Adama Traore the rest and Ferran Torres plays either in the middle or on the right wing. But those are really the only two changes that I could conceivably see, but hey, Xavi might surprise me and start Dembele. You never know. I want to thank OneFootball for sponsoring this video. OneFootball is the app I use to keep me up to date on everything FC Barcelona, as well as all the other teams that Alemany might be scouting right now for a big summer transfer window. With a custom-tailored homepage, stay up to date with breaking news, live scores, and even transfer news. While on the go, you can check with matches in live time and watch videos afterwards. Use the link in the description below for a free download of OneFootball on Android or iOS to put all your football in one place. And you'll also help out a tiny Barca channel like this one too. Thanks again to OneFootball for sponsoring this video. Now back to the on-field business. As for Napoli, manager Luciano Spalletti has them playing well. They're currently third in Serie A in that table, third in the league on 53 points, just behind AC Milan's 55 and Inter's 54. Barca may be busy in the Liga trying to get top four, and they are coming off that emotional derby against Espanyol, but Napoli are coming off a huge test of their own. They are third now, but they went into a matchup with Inter, who were first, with Napoli in second, but a 1-1 draw allowed AC Milan to leapfrog them both. Still, this is a team that has to be taken very seriously because yes, they are in the Europa League, but they have Champions League caliber players, and while they are dealing with some injuries, they're still a very talented team. Potentially missing Matteo Politano and definitely missing Chucky Lozano, the Mexican international, means that Napoli are missing two of their best three wingers, but they still have their top guy in Lorenzo Insigne on the left wing. Alright, so now that I mentioned Insigne, maybe I should make it easier on myself and just give you the top 5 players to watch for Napoli in this matchup. Lorenzo Insigne starts this list because the captain may be on his way to Toronto FC, and by maybe even he'll be heading to MLS because he's a free agent in the summertime. So while he may be on his way out, but it doesn't mean that he's done terrorizing Serie A and Europa League defenses to the tune of 6 goals and 5 assists this season. His spacing and work with Piotr Zielinski, who sits in front of a double pivot, is partly what drives them both forward. Zielinski is right behind Insigne with 6 goals and 5 assists. Without Politano and Lozano, it's pretty obvious that we'll be seeing Eljif Almas, the Macedonian playmaker, playing a bit more wide than he used to. Or we'll see Adam Uñas, the former Ajax man, who I'm not entirely sold on in that big moment. So if those names don't inspire Spalletti, they probably shouldn't. Insigne on the left side of Napoli's 4-2-3-1 should be the main player that Barcelona worry about, even though there's, again, a ton of other attacking options for Napoli. Speaking of those attacking options and speaking of not leaking goals, Barcelona would be wise to make sure they properly scout and prepare for Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen, has 4 goals in 3 Europa League matches this season, and the most expensive man in Napoli history, close to 70 million euros in the summer of 2020 from Lille. Could arguably be underachieving with just his 10 goals this year. though that would make him Barca's top scorer, so do with that what you will. But honestly, when you watch Napoli, you understand why he's so important. He's a proper number 9. He's mobile, he's strong in the air, and he can take a shot at any moment. With Zielinski coming from behind him and Insigne on the left wing, Busquets and Piqué better bring their walkie-talkies and keep the light on green, because they'll have to be directing traffic to the letter. It should be noted he did miss out on the African Cup of Nations due to injury, but it seems like, based on his performance against Inter Milan, that he is back to pretty much full fitness. With player number 3, while he even may come in off the bench, you can tell that I am worried most about Barca's back line. That's why I'm going to keep going with these Napoli attackers. And of course, 34-year-old Dries Mertens is probably the one player of all these that Barca fans know probably the best due to his appearances for Belgium and a number of matches that he's played. The ageless, okay, he is 34, yes, but Dries Mertens is still Napoli's leading goal scorer with 7. He just keeps on keeping on. Barca has seen him before for both club and many of them against Belgium, so it's not like he's not in the scouting report. His ability to drop in, start his move out wide, or get to the near post for a low cross should be well known to Piqué, but that doesn't mean he can stop it. Mertens has long been a master of none, but really, really good at all the things that you're supposed to do to be a center forward in professional football. And that's why he's been able to stick around. His versatility and his longevity are his 2 most important attributes at this point. Number 4 is a player in Kalidou Koulibaly that if he played in the Premier League, you'd be hearing about him every single weekend. But due to the high price tag that Napoli slapped on him a few years ago, he actually played almost his entire prime in Serie A in Italy with Napoli. Now 30, this year has been rather interesting for the CB. He's only played in around 60% of all Serie A minutes this season due to both injury and recently his involvement in helping Senegal win the African Cup of Nations. However, and here's the bad news for Barca, when he has played, he plays all 90 minutes and is not only a force defending, but also crucial with his progressive passing and his combination of passing and physical tools help pick up the pace for Napoli and let them set the tempo of a match. He did miss 9 straight matches for Napoli, but has just returned over the weekend to pick up 90 minutes against Inter. He's also a big reason why Napoli has the best defense in Italy. Just 17 goals conceded in 25 matches. I did already mention Zielinski, but he does deserve his own mention here too. The 27-year-old Polish midfielder has done everything his team has asked of him since he joined in 2016, and it always felt like he was playing second fiddle to the club legend Marek Hamsik for all those years, as the captain was usually the one pulling the strings in a 4-3-3. But since Hamsik has moved on, and particularly since the team moved to a 4-2-3-1 back in October, Zielinski has been the key man through the middle, with protection from the usual double pivot of Lobotka and Fabian Ruiz. Lobotka is questionable for the match, so former RB Leipzig midfielder Diego Demme should be expected to step in. Or we could see Almas step in and Zielinski move back. I guess the point is that Spalletti does have a number of options to use, and unlike Barcelona, Napoli also have players on their bench and they have depth to be used in this game. And while I didn't mention the 2 fullbacks in my 5 players, Giovanni Di Lorenzo on the right and Mario Rui on the left should be noted here. Napoli's system doesn't necessarily rely on them, but whatever they provide, especially Di Lorenzo, could tip the scales. Very much like Jordi Alba, if he's the difference maker, then the team has a good chance of winning. That's fullbacks in 2020 for you. In net, David Ospina is a veteran goalkeeper who most will be familiar with. Nothing flashy, can be beaten, but experienced and a cool head. Now for the quick one-offs and things I think you should know before this match begins. This is Barcelona's first appearance in the Europa League in 19 years. 191 Champions League matches in between now and the 2003-04 season when it was the UEFA Cup. A young midfielder named Xavi Hernandez played in the round of 16, a 2-legged defeat to Celtic. Believe it or not, these 2 teams have only played 7 times and only twice in official competition. But it was recent, a 1-1 draw in February of 2020, and then, well, you know what happened. The pandemic pushed back the return leg to August, where Barca won 3-1. 4 friendlies took place in 2011, 14, and 2 in 2019, and the team also met back in 1978, a 1-1 draw in Naples. As for the Europa League, it's not that Barca was only ever in the Champions League. Believe it or not, there was football before Pep Guardiola's era. And dating back to the time for the UEFA Cup, Barcelona has failed to win that trophy in that iteration of the trophy on 11 different occasions. So it is a snake-bitten trophy for Barca. The Blaugrana have made the semifinals on 4 occasions, however. And it was particularly difficult during the Johan Cruyff playing days, losing in the round of 16, semifinal, quarterfinal, and semifinal in a matter of 5 seasons, also losing in the round of 64 the year before Cruyff showed up. Napoli, meanwhile, won the UEFA Cup during the glory years with Diego Maradona in 1989, also winning their only 2 Serie A titles in 1987 and 90. And finally, I am hoping this feels more like a Diego Maradona trophy. And yes, it is for the Europa League, and no offense to that Boca Juniors versus Saudi Arabia friendly, and there is no Messi and Aguero in this one either, which kind of does take some of the sting out of it. But I think it is something special to see Napoli and Barcelona play one another, and I hope both fan bases understand, kind of honor Diego Maradona with this one. And lastly, I do appreciate you taking the time to get in some of the history with me, and again, I hope that helps you appreciate the Europa League just a bit more, but you know the truth. When all is said and done, it comes down to the results that are happening right now in the era that we live in and the football that we're currently watching. So hopefully Barcelona can get a win, so that match review and the podcast, which are both going to be coming out soon thereafter, are filled with positivity and joy. So until then, Forza Barça.